Hi folks, this is Karim Raoul from IT Visualizer channel. Today we will continue our lab the transformers. This is the 28th video. In the previous video we have already continued our subject concerning the captive portal. We set up the voucher option. As I said before, the voucher option is to give the user, instead of a username and a password to access the internet, to give him a code. This code can be for a predefined time. For example, you can give him a code for 1 hour, 1 week, 1 month. This can be done through the captive portal option in the Pfsense firewall system. We have seen in the previous video how this is done, and we also have made an upgrade to the Pfsense version of the system. As we said before, Pfsense is based on a system called FreeBSD. It's a Linux system. The current version that I'm using from the firewall is Pfsense version 2.4.4 and I have upgraded it to version 2.4.5. we have some problems encountered during this operation. The squid package and the squid guard package, after the upgrade they should be upgraded because there is some compatibility issue between the older version of these two packages with the new version of the Pfsense. So basically this is done automatically when you upgrade the Pfsense firewall from version 2.44 to 2.45, but for some reason this operation wasn't completed successfully and I had a problem with the squid package. So we will see in upcoming video how we can solve this problem. Today we will discuss a new topic. This to install something or a free package called on the Pfsense firewall. It's called PfBlockerNG. PfBlockerNG basically what it does, it is something like the squid proxy. It does filter the internet. For example, if you need to block websites or category of websites, if you need to block a certain website, you can give him the name of the website so it can block it by the domain name or with the IP address, or you can block with the category. Also you have this option. You can block it by porn category, for example, by news category. Basically it does the same like the squid proxy does, but what is the difference? The difference that the squid proxy had some issues with the HTTPS websites. If you see my previous videos, you need to see if you want to see any HTTP websites, you should have a certification issued from the firewall, so the firewall can permit you to see any HTTPS websites. Well, this can work perfectly for laptops, for PCs, but there is a problem, or it is broken when you work with mobile phone or cell phones or tablets or Android, for example, or iOS. So the PfBlockerNG works perfectly with these devices. It works with the PCs and laptops. As I mean, for Windows system it works perfectly, and also it works perfectly with the Android systems and the iOS. So what I mean that you don't need to install a certification on this Android system or iOS. You don't need to install a certification, so you can be able to see the HTTPS websites. This is very difficult to do on such systems. This can be done on Windows systems, on laptops or workstations. Okay, you can do this, but on Android systems or iOS it's a little bit difficult, and I said before it is broken. The squid proxy functionality is broken on these two systems. So we will work with PfBlockerNG. It's much better, and it works on all systems without any problems: Windows, Android, and iOS, and Linux also. So we'll see how we can install PfBlockerNG. It has a functionality, as I said before, for web filtering the internet, and there is another feature in it which is called Geo Ip Block. Geo Ip Block, this basically what it does, that you through the PfBlocker you can block certain locations from for the user not to access. For example, if you need to block all IPs coming from China, you can do this. You can block all IPs coming from Africa. For example, if you have a region that you need to block any web browsing from it, you can do this through the PF blocker, and this is another good feature from for the PfBlockerNG. But before that, you need to have this Geo IP option working. You need to register to a website. I will show you how this is done. So let's begin our lab. Here we go. Here we power on the firewall. Sorry. So here you can see that the firewall is loading. The setting, the interfaces, the DNS. I will try also, after installing the PfBlockerNG, to create a virtual machine with an Android system to see how this will work. Just a minute. So let's continue our lab. Here the firewall, it is loading. Let's make sure that I am already recording. Yes, I am. So here is the firewall. It is launched and up and running. So now we will access the firewall through the browser by putting the IP address. We will put the local username for the firewall, admin, and the password. Here, as you see, we have, from a couple of videos, we are not working anymore with the Active Directory username and password, because I have already powered off the domain controllers, because actually I have limited resources from the hardware. I have only limited RAM and hard disk and processor, so I'm just powering on the firewall and a test virtual machine for testing the firewall. Okay, the firewall setting. Okay, so we are working with the local password, not the Active Directory password. Okay, here we can see that it's admin local database fallback. This means that I'm working with the local password on the local system for the Pfsense firewall. Here we will go to the system package manager, and then we will go to available packages. Okay, and then we will search for PfBlockerNG. As I said before, it works perfectly with most of the systems, and you don't need to install certifications to see HTTPS websites. But the main difference between it and Squid that there is no integration, or there is no working integration, or it doesn't block with Active Directory user or certain users. It blocks in general. Okay, so you can block on all users. Okay, not a certain user or a certain group. Okay, this is another feature that it is working with the Squid, not with the PfBlockerNG. Okay, so now we are installing the package. It's a free package. Most of the Pfsense firewall third-party packages are free, and the system itself is a free open source firewall. I think I am now, yes. What is PfBlocker? This is a small description about what this package do. Okay, we can see it's provide administration. We can see the description. It says we have the option of blocking with geographical location. This is another option in PfBlocker. You can block, for example, IPs coming from China, coming from, for example, Africa. Any geographical location, it can block by geographical location, and this is a good feature. For example, if you know that there is some websites from a certain geographical location, you can do this. Can block by geographical location. So now we will begin configuring. This is a small description about PfBlocker and how to install it, but it is a little bit old. I'm just browse this website to get a brief description about the PfBlockerNG. So now we have already installed the package. We will begin configuring the package, or sorry, begin configuring the option. Here you can see in the services that we have something called, I think it's down, yes it is, I think it's not from me, it's from firewall maybe. Okay, just a minute. Yes, it is from firewall. It's PfBlockerNG. Here we can see there is an error that appeared for this swap pager. There is a problem with the RAM or the hard disk of the firewalls. I am just shutting down. I have tried when troubleshooting this error, I have tried to shut down the firewall and restart it, but still the error keeps popping up. So after some troubleshooting, I have increased the RAM from 2 gig to 3 gig, and there was a problem with the hard disk of the firewall. Okay, I have already make a defragment for this hard disk, and also there was some corrupted files on the Pfsense firewall. I have already make a repair. Okay, you will see this in the video how this is all done, but basically I think the main thing that makes this firewall having so much problems, there is no integration between the FreeBSD system, which is the system based this firewall is based on. There is no integration between the this system and the VM Workstation Pro tools. You know, when you want to restart or power off this firewall, I don't have even an option to shut it down, and I don't know the CMD code to make this, so I'm just clicking on this option or this icon to shut it down or restart it or whatsoever. Basically this doesn't resemble or doesn't do any harm, because basically after you make any virtual machine and install the VM tools on it, it integrates the system with the VM Workstation Pro. So when you click on, for example, shut down, it's basically like you are going to Windows and clicking start and then clicking shut down. But this is all in one icon. As soon as you click here shut down, the VM Workstation Pro software tells the virtual machine to click start and then click Windows, click start and then click shut down. Okay, but here, as I said before, I don't know the command to reboot or to shut down the firewall, so I'm just doing it from this icon. But it seems that this is like shutting down, it's not properly shutting down the firewall, so it corrupts the system, and there is some hardware issues with the hard disk because of this option. But I think I don't have any other way to shut down or power on the firewall except from these icons. Okay, so but we have all of these problems fixed. So if this error appears for you, the swap file means that you need to increase the RAM. If the RAM is not the issue, then you need to check the hard disk of the firewall. If the firewall is not the issue, then you need to check the logs to see if there is any corrupted files in the Pfsense firewall system, which already was there. I have some corrupted files in the system and I already repaired it, and I have done all of these steps in previous videos, and I will do it again in this video and the upcoming video, because as I said before, it is repeated, and I included or say why I think this error is happening, because of the not complete integration between the VM Workstation Pro and the FreeBSD system. So let's begin. And basically, when this swap file error appears, the firewall rules and all of the blocking rules that you have done will not work. It works like a switch. It means it passes all of the traffic incoming and outgoing without any filtering or without any blocking rules. So take care when this error appears. You need to take care, because if any blocking rules or web filtering rules is on this firewall, it will not work when this error appears. So here we'll begin the wizard setup for the PfBlocker. Here we tell him next. This is a welcome setup or a setup wizard. As soon as we click on the PfBlocker, he will ask you, okay, which interface of internet and which interface of LAN you want these rules to be applied. I will apply it on the WAN and my guest network interface. I will not work on my office network, which is LAN. I will work on the WAN interface and one on the guest wireless network. This is the IP address and the ports that this PfBlocker will work on. So now we have done a simple configuration for the PfBlocker. Basically, let me say another thing here in the PfBlocker. PfBlocker works with lists. Okay, you have famous websites that give for example blacklist websites. Okay, some websites that known websites that publish the most blacklist websites in a text file, for example, which contains the domain name and IP address. So basically what the PfBlocker does, that it goes and downloads these blacklists, known blacklists from these known websites, and begin using it to block websites. For example, we have used a website called Shalbit. This website contains most of the known blacklist websites, like the porn websites and alcohol and blah blah blah. So we tell the PfBlocker to go to get this list, okay, and use it to block websites. Okay, this is the same concept used in a squid. Okay, so here basically what you are doing, that you're telling him to get the websites from the block websites or the blacklist website and the whitelist websites from some known domains, or some known security websites. For example, EasyList is one of them. So you can see it's downloading the EasyList. This is some predefined websites, contains some whitelist and some blacklist and other websites. So the PfBlocker uses this predefined whitelist and blacklist to block and allow websites. You can add websites that you need, or you can increase these websites in the whitelist on the blacklist manually, but this is a predefined websites, okay, and it contains most of the websites that you need to block. You don't need to add much more in very little case scenarios. Okay, so here we need to see the option of the IP Geo Ip Blocking. As I said before, Geo Ip Blocking, it blocks a complete region. For example, from China, it blocks all the IPs coming from China, all the IPs coming from, for example, Africa, or even from US, any website that you name, any region that you name. Okay, so here we will go to the IP, and then each Geo Ip. Geo Ip, you need to, here is the rules, this is the regions, and every region you need to, so just a minute here, here is all of the regions. Okay, and you can tell him to deny. There is two things to do in every region: to disable traffic inbound and outbound. It means coming out and coming in. Okay, inbound and outbound. Okay, here there is something called top spammers. Here is some collection of some spammers and hackers from around the world, and he grouped them by geographical location. It's best practice to tell him to deny both inbound and outbound, and it is enabled. Okay, but for this Geo Ip option to work, we need to, as I said, MaxMind, you need to have a license key. So you need to, in this website, you need to register to this MaxMind website to get a license key. So this Geo Ip option works. We will see how this is done in a couple of minutes. Here, if we need to make any changes in the in the PfBlocker, we need to select the select force option and reload or update. But be careful not to do this reload option or update option from the force option when the cron job is working. Okay, he is making it's telling you that not to do this when the cron is working. I don't know what is cron actually, but you have to work with the notification that this firewall says. We need to follow it. Okay, so here we have already enabled the top spammers, as I said before, but this option will not work until you get a license key and to get a license key you need to register to MaxMind website. I think this is a website that contains a predefined list for the top spammers or the top hackers around the world, or the top IP addresses for all of the geographical locations. We can see here that we can see this red bell. This tells us if you need to work. I discovered this later, that if you need to work with the Geo IP option, you need to register to MaxMind website. Okay. Here we can see that it requires you to register to a website, and it is very simple actually, but I didn't discover it until later. I think I will pass because I have some trials. Okay, here is the DNS. Here we can, from this and by DNS category, here we can block by category. We can tell him to block porn categories, for example, or webs or news categories from the DNS BL. We can block from here. We can tell him the whitelist, the blacklist. Okay, we can tell him to block by category. Okay, so I will pass. Just let me show you all. Here we can pass this. Just a minute. Here we will make some changes to the some of the setting of the PfBlocker. From here we will go to the IP, and here we will enable floating rules. Floating rules, the default. Let's go a little bit further. Here we can see that if the PfBlocker sees any website that needs to be blocked, it will, what it does, here is two rules will be created on the firewall. He will block any traffic coming from outside. This is on the WAN interface, because we have all the traffic coming from outside. He will block, for example, if you have a website from China, he will block it on the WAN interface. Okay, so there is no traffic coming from outside, and from the guest wireless network he will reject all of the traffic coming. Okay, so you have both. He will reject it from the WAN interface and from the LAN interface, or the guest wireless network interface. So basically this is the two default rules, to block and to reject. Okay, this is, you don't need to change. Here we're working with floating rules. This is an option. As the description says, it's better to use floating rules than to leave it unchecked. I don't know actually if this is very useful, but it was a recommendation from a known Pfsense user or super user in working with Pfsense. So it's an PfBlocker, someone called Lawrence. I will leave a reference to this video, but we will use we will enable this option for floating rules. Okay, and then we will save the IP setting. And they will kill state also. This is, we need to enable it. I think we don't need to go in depth with these options. We just need to make sure that these are checked. And to enable these options, or to make these options available and implemented, we need to go to update, as it is said before in the bottom of the page, that you need to go to update, and then we cannot make a reload when the cron job is working. Okay, so if you need to make the options that we are, to make the checkbox that we have already checked valid and working on PfBlocker, we need to reload the or select the fourth option and then reload, but we don't do this when the cron job is working. Okay, I think here I'm still still discovering this option, but I think I need to pause it quickly. Just a minute. Okay, I think just a minute. Okay, here I think I will go and register myself to this website. We need to have a license key for this option to work. Maximize Geo IP configuration. We need to have a license key. So here is the link for going to the website and to register. Here we will put your name. You register to this website. Okay, put the name and the name and the industry and all of this kind, and then we will use. I tell him I am in Egypt. Sorry. And then we will internet security whatsoever, and I put my my email address, and then we will tell agree and then continue. But you need to put, so there is some field missing. I think it's the company. I told him I am a private company or personal. Okay, and then I will tell him continue. He will send you an email, okay, with the confirmation of the sign in. You have a username on this website, so you need to go to your email and see the confirmation email, and then click on the link so you can access the website. So now I'm doing this. Well, basically when you work with free open source stuff like firewalls and packages, it's a little bit complicated for following up with the updates and to register and to follow up all of this, and you have to follow the forums to see if there is any problems or there is any new updates or there is any problems arising. Okay, so this is a little bit complicated when working with free open source firewalls, but if you have a commercial one, for example the FortiGate and Sophos, you have all of this taken care by the company. You just need only to update the firewall system, and all of this is done. The packages, the filtering, and all of this is done through the company itself. But never mind, you are working with the free one. We will do a little bit of effort, but now we have already the username working. So now we need to get the license key and put it in the setting of the Pfsense firewall. Here I will log into the website. Okay, but this is not correct. I need to put my email address and then my password. So here we have already logged in. We need to get our license key or the maximind license key. Here we can see from services my license key, and here we will tell him to generate new license key to get the key that we need. All of this, we are working all of these steps to make the Geo Ip blocking option to work with the PfBlockerNG, and this is a very good feature. Okay, here we can get the description. Okay, you need to, okay, we will click on this option. Okay, and then we tell him to get Geo update version 3.1.1. This is a newer version of blocking with IP. or is grouping with IP from geographical location. So we will check the first option. Here we can see that it's utilized the GPO update 3.1.1, so we need to click the first option and then confirm. It tells you that this option, the license will be working after 5 minutes. So actually it took me some time until this option is activated and I can work with the Geo Ip option, okay, but it takes maximum about 5 minutes, okay. So you need to get this license key and put it here in the but you need to check to disable mindset CSV updates, okay, and this is the key, and then we will save. Okay, it said that this key is not valid, so I will copy it again and put it in the and put it in the key of in the location again. And then save, and then after that we need to make a select force option and then reload and then run. Okay, so now this option is activated, but it took about 5 minutes. So now we can see here that there is some rules. This is the rules for the PF blocker. So if you block any websites or block any IP addresses, here this is the rules for the FB blocker located, okay. And we have said before, we have already specified that these rules to work all the guest wireless network interface, not our office or our LAN network, okay, or office network interface. Okay, so here I think I was pausing the video to wait for the license key to work. Okay, here I am putting the license key again and then save IP setting. Now it has accepted the license key, and if you go to the red bell, it sees that you have already, no, it's saying the same, but I have already registered, and after a couple of minutes the Geo Ip blocking option worked. You can go in this Geo Ip option and specify anything you need. Here from the Geo Ip, after it is activated, you will see something like an edit key, so you can specify which region is specific or which IPs in this region. In Africa, for example, you need some countries. You can work with this, but let's wait for some minutes. Okay, we will check this option. I think I have already checked this option. Okay, now we can work with the DNS BSL. Here there is the categories you need to block with. For example, you can tell him to block porn category or any category from this location or from this option. Okay, we will see that in a couple of minutes. Here we can see in the DNSL category we can get a little bit back. Here we can see that you can activate the blacklist category, and from here, after enabling it, you can block by category like porn, like news. This is typically what is done in the squid proxy, the same procedures, and this is also the same website. Here, as I said before, there is some known websites that publish blacklist websites. This is Shala Secure Services. This is the one that we use in the squid proxy, and we use it also in the DNS or on the PfBlockerNG. Okay. Here, just a minute also. Here, this is default predefined block list. Okay, this is contains this easy list and AD and miscellaneous, contains white list and black list websites. This is predefined, or it is we said predefined websites. This PF blocker uses to block and allow websites. This is as I said before, it's a template, or it is already used websites. You can add here another list and define the websites that you need to block, but you can block it by domain name or by IP address. But you can do this, you can add, and also from this you can also add specific lists from forums. We will see that in a moment, but let me show you. Here in the easy list, we can see here that this is the websites that, or this is the list, it is updated from these websites. It's like, as I said before, there is some known websites that publish some websites that is known it as known or bad websites. Here you can see, for example, in this text file, it contains all of the miscellaneous or the spammers and the bad sites. See, this is the text file. Okay, and it is updated regularly. Okay, this is a predefined or ready use templates. You can add here any websites that you need. You can specify it. If you know other websites that publish blacklist websites, you can add it here and tell him to update from it, or to get the list of white list and blacklist from these websites. Okay, and this says that you can block by name or whatsoever. So I think I was still discovering these options. So here, let me get it a little bit further. Okay, sorry, just a minute. Here, as I said before, we can, in the DSL category, we can tell him to enable blacklist category, and then here, this is the websites shall list. This is a website that gets or publish known blacklist websites. Here we can block by category. Here we can block, for example, porn and whatsoever. You can block by category, or you can tell him to block a specific category or a specific website. Sorry. Okay, so this is these two websites, shall and UT1. This is two websites that publish known blacklist websites. Okay, so here you tell him to update this list once a day. Okay, from these two websites, Shall Secure Services and UT1, update the blacklist or the blacklist categories, and then we can save. So now we have already activated the option to block by category. Okay, basically the PfBlockerNG works with lists, blacklist, whitelist, and it blocks by the DNS. Okay, working with DNS, blocking with DNS. Okay, and it depends on a large number of forums and known security websites to get its whitelist and blacklist. Okay, so this is basically what the PfBlocker does. Okay, and it is for free, and actually it's doing a good job, but as I said before, as it is free, you need to monitor it. Okay, to know if the blacklists and whitelists are updated or not. Okay, it is done automatically, but it needs a little bit of managing. Okay, so here we can still see that the Geo IP option is not still activated, because it didn't it needs about 5 minutes, as I said, for it to work. Here I am still discovering the options. until the Geo IP option is activated. I think here I will pause the video. Okay, and then here from feeds we can see this option is very good. Here you have a list of feeds or forums that contains a lot of blacklist sites. Okay, this is, for example, if you know the browser of Tor, there is a list for the Tor browser that blocks all of the Tor proxies and the Tor websites. Okay, and there is also some websites for the known websites. This is very good because it contains a lot of forums and blacklists, known blacklists. You can add what you need from them. It can be blocked by websites, for example, or categories. Here this is a lot of feeds. Okay, you can choose whatever website you need and add it, and then it will work. Okay, so we can see here, but it is a recommendation not to enable them all because this will make a lot of traffic or automate a lot of headache on the firewall. Okay, so here we can see this is known website. Any blacklist that you need to add it to the PfBlockerNG, just click on the add button. Okay, the check marks here that say that these websites are added or this blacklist are added. Here you can see that this is a lot of forums or feeds that contains a lot of blacklists, known blacklists. You need to see the alert. Okay, because sometimes there is positive false alarms. This means that sometimes it may be blocking some useful websites, so you need to make sure or to take care when you adding any blacklist to make sure that it doesn't contain any alert on it. Sorry, I will pause the video for a moment. So let's continue our lab. Here we will here you can add a lot of websites, any blacklist that you need. It is very detailed and contains a lot of known blacklist. Just add it and then it will work. As you see, there is a lot of websites. Here I'm trying to see if I can add any website of them or any blacklist of them. I will add, for example, just to show you how this is done, we will choose one of them and add it and see how it will work. Here, for example, we will add this one. It's malware. Okay, Malwarebytes. There is a known anti-spam website. Okay, this is malware. It's a very known anti-spam software. It has a blacklist, or it publish a blacklist of its own. So it's free for downloading. We can download it. Okay, and add it to our PF blocker. We will use this anti-spamware blacklist, known blacklist, and work or download it to our firewall and work with it. Okay. Okay, we'll click on add. Here there is the list, okay, that contains the blacklist websites. Okay, here that. Then we will tell him to save. First we need to make sure it is updated. Save DNS. Okay, it is saved already. Here we can see that this list is added. We need to make it unbound. Okay, and then it will frequently updated once a day. Okay, and is enabled. So now we have simply add a list. You can add, I needed to add the tour list, but I didn't see it. I saw it before, but you can add any list you need from these feeds, okay? Sorry, just a minute, because my laptop battery is on. So let's continue. We will also, in the next video, we'll work with something called Snort. This is an intrusion detection. This is another very good package to be added to the Pfsense, but it blocks with something, or work with a concept called OpenID. We will see Open Software ID. We will just see how this is done, and we will talk in details in the upcoming video. On this, I'm just browsing and seeing if I can add another blacklist or whitelist. So now if we go, I think, to the Geo IP option will be working. If you do any change in the PfBlockerNG, you need to do the option of select force and then reload or update, but make sure that the cron job is not working, okay, as I said before. So here I think we can see, or the option of the Geo IP will work, but let's wait for a second. I'm just logging in and out and see if the Geo IP is working. Here now we will open the virtual machine of the virtual machine that it is assumed to be the guest laptop, and we will try to see, or to have a look on how this PfBlockerNG will work. We will do a little bit of we will go to the categories and block porn, for example, the same that as we did before in the squid, but here we'll go to PfBlocker and go to the DNS BSL. First of all, we need to the Geo IP to see if the option of the Geo IP is working. I think it will work. Here we go, and we can see that we have the option of edit. From here you can see that this is all of the countries. You can block by country. This is the whole region. This is all of the regions of the world, or all of the countries of the world. So you just need to check them all. This is for the top spammers. We can do this for the top spammers. No need to block some, because this is known top spammers in all of the world. So you need to choose them and then save. So you can select all top spammers. Okay. If you need to block certain regions, you can do this. Okay. Here you need to make a reload. So now it is working. Here is the laptop. Okay, we will log in. Here from the reports we can see this is the activity, or we can see the activity log. From here we can see all of the activity on the guest. For example, if the laptop goes to any website, here there is the entries will appear. For example, if the laptop goes to, for example, Microsoft, here you can see that it says that this website is Microsoft and it is blocked or allowed, we will see that in a moment. We will generate some traffic and see if it will appear in the PF blocker, and we will see if we can allow, how to allow and how to block any website from here. So from the reports tab you can see any activity on the guest or on the laptop. We can see here that, for example, here is the authentication page. We will put our username and password. If you can see my previous video, we have already done the voucher and we have changed the authentication page to be to contain both methods, the username and password and the voucher. So here we will continue. Okay, we need to refresh to see the at once as soon as the guest logs in or begin browsing the internet or surfing the internet, some activity or some data will appear. But I'm just discovering the other options, but you have to wait for a couple of seconds. Here we can see this is some graph to tell you what websites are blocked for this user. A small good graph. But we need to wait for a couple of seconds. I think we need to path this little quick. I think no, I think just a minute. Here we can see that there is a website. This IP is for the laptop, okay, and this is the name of the machine, and it has blocked the advertising service from Google. And how did he know that this website is blocked? It is from the blacklist category that is named I think it's named Easy Anyway. This is Anyway DNSLD blacklist, okay. This is the blacklist that he used to identify that Google service or advertising service is to be blocked. What I mean that we have this blacklist installed on the PF blocker, and in this PF in this list it contains the advertising service for Google. If you need to allow it, you just tell him to plus and allow this website, okay. This is blocked, sorry, unlock, okay. For example, here I will block the news category. We can see here that the CNN, you need to wait for a couple of seconds. Here it was a problem that I was typing the wrong website. I searched Google and then typed CNN. And then we will click on CNN. Here we can see that the CNN is working. I will go to the PF blocker and block the category of news from the DNSBL. If we refresh, it's a little bit slow. We will not. Here we can see that there is more entries appearing. We just, if you need to allow or block, you can do this from the lock icon or from the plus. you can unlock it from the lock icon, and you can add the website to the allowed websites from the plus option. Okay, here from the DNSLB category we will go and open the shell list. Okay, and then we will block the news, porn, and a lot of websites, a lot of categories. Here we will block proxy or something like the Tor browser, okay, that contains proxy. And I will block for example the this is crack websites. And I will block the news and the porn. Okay, in the news we'll see after we block it and try to, we will save. Okay, we need to make force update, but first we need to save. And then we will go to the update. First I will log off the browser. We need to log off the browser and clear the cache, so we can see that this rule that we have done, or the blocking rule we have done to block all of the news categories, we will see this in effect. But we need first to clear the browser cache and exit the browser to see the effect of the change. Okay, we need also, I will make a separate video to how to install or to make a virtual machine as an Android, or simulate an Android phone. And I'll try to also make another video for how to simulate an iPhone. Okay, here we need to reload the setting. Any change done in the PfBlocker you need to reload or update through the force option, but make sure that the cron job is not working. Okay, so here now we will exit the browser after clearing the cache, and then we will see, and I also work from another browser, we will see if I can browse the CNN or any news websites to see if the news block rule will work. Here we can see that there is a lot of websites appearing, and every website, it is blocked or allowed through a certain list. He gives you the list that he gets his whitelist and blacklist websites from it. So now we will go to the CNN, or we will search Google. Okay, we will go to Google and then try to access the CNN again. Okay, we can see that it says unable to connect, so it has already blocked the website. We will try the BBC website, and we can go to the log. Okay, we can see that it had already blocked the CNN, but the log is trunced because it only will take the first 22 lines. Okay, but it is blocked. We can see that it is blocked the CNN. Okay, there is a news. He will see, he will tell you which list he used to block the CNN. For example, we try the BBC. Now we will go to the BBC. We can see also that the BBC is blocked. To make sure that it's not blocking everything. We will try the YouTube website. We will see that it is allowed because we didn't block the social media or the video streaming websites. Okay, so now I'll try the youtube.com. So now we can see that it is already added, or it's already passing. Very easy website to use, very easy options to use, and very clear and more easier than Squid in configuration, and better in monitoring tools, or better in reporting tools. Okay, so now we can see that the YouTube is working. So we have successfully worked with the PF blocker, configuring it, okay, and adding using the Geo Ip option. Okay, it is working, and we have already blocked by category. And I said before, we use the PfBlockerNG, not the Squid, because it works with multiple OS systems. It works perfectly with the Windows and Android and iOS without need to install a certification to enable the HTTPS websites to be passed. Okay, so now I think this video is ended. So in upcoming video we will discuss the Snort. Okay, and we will see that also there is a problem with the Snort when I have already installed it. So I hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like to thank you for viewing. Sorry, it's sound dramatically. Okay, thank you. I think I will take a backup of the firewall. Yes, I will make a backup. Okay, before going to the next video, I need to take a backup before installing the Snort, as I said before, and because I had a lot of problems with the firewall, so I take regular backups of the firewall by making a snapshot. Okay, you said before, snapshot is like taking a backup in the real world or in the physical world. Okay, yes, I think it's ended. Thank you so much.